Draft your LCS team and earn money. Alpha Draft.
Our top story right now is the return of Scarra.
I felt that I would be with Dig forever. I got these new Nikes today. The Dignitas colors.
They have to be happy about that one.
Clear calls, good plan. Yes, clear calls, good plan.
Calls, good plan.
And that is it. Dignitas takes it into the top four.
He just understands like everything about being a pro player.
I don't know. I don't like the this.
He knows exactly what it's like to be at the top and to also crumble.
Dignitas announced that legendary mid laner Scarra would be stepping down. He's already had a Hall of Fame career.
Everything he's been through it, like he's been in my shoes.
The rest of Dignitas should be out of time, but in fact it will drop. And there is a double kill for Scarra.
You want me to go like this?
Scarra looks to make an impact on the fight. There it is. Softens them up. Puts them down.
Up until they lose the game, they're winning. So
He just feels like a normal part of CLG now. This is going to be a really good year for him.
All right, good luck, guys. I'm out.
shooting off the distance.
Welcome to Week 4 of the North American League Championship Series, Spring Split. We're coming to you live in front of this fired-up crowd here in Los Angeles. And moments ago, we had Coast arriving at the studio. They are looking to snap a 4-game losing streak. And it looks like MASH may have brought a Valentine to the studio today. They, of course, going to have to do that against CLG, who arrived a little bit late, but with their coach Scarra here, it looks like coaching is a two-way street as Double Lift helps him with the tie there. They are fighting to defend their first-place position. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Great to have you with us for another action-packed Saturday. Hello, I'm James Dash Patterson, and sharing their league expertise with us on the desk is Aiden's Irene Moon and Joshua Jat Leesman. How you guys doing today?
Doing well. Looked like Scarra hasn't done much tie practice. He walked in and was around his neck. I don't know if Double Lift is the best person to be helping him. I actually saw Double Lift failed, and they had to get Matcom help him with his ties. So it was a whole ordeal on top of the shuttle ordeal.
We'll have to have a little,
tie done.
we'll have a little class later about how to tie your tie.
I can't do it either. So.
I know, I was looking at Oh boy, well, let's take a look at the latest news from the LCS. After a 3-week suspension, Scarra will be taking over active duty as CLG's coach on stage during Champ Select.
Yeah, this is really for ceremony more than anything else, because Scarra has been doing the majority of his coaching duties, which is all prep, at the CLG house. He has been their active coach for the last couple of weeks. Having him on stage is just going to allow them to bend a little bit more in Champion Select, but I know Link was taking over and kind of having final say in that already. So for all intents and purposes, we've seen Scarra's results so far as a coach with the pick composition, with the rotations for CLG and defining their style. Now we just get to see Scarra.
Yeah, and I also wonder if it'll change the friendship aspect of CLG, because that is one thing that really changed for CLG over the offseason. I remember I had a long conversation with Double Lift after they lost to Dignitas in the 5th place, 6th place match and were basically forced into the relegation, about how he just wanted to kind of have friends again, which at the time sounded like a really silly thing to say for a team. Oh yeah, I just want to be good buds with my team so we can be friends and get over issues. And it's like, isn't that how people thought about League like 3 years ago? Isn't it all about winning and just getting good players? But I wonder if you can have your cake and eat it too, because that's kind of what's happening with CLG. They seem to have good players in the positions, but also they're getting along, and Scarra can add to that environment.
Well, we'll see what sort of impact Scarra has with our first game of the day. But there's another group that's starting to make waves. After sitting around the bottom of the table for the first 2 weeks, Cloud9 have climbed into a tie for 3rd place and are just 2 games behind the leaders.
Yeah, so as far as Cloud9 looking better, it does begin and end with High, because in the games they were struggling, he was dying all the time with needless deaths. And when they were at their best, even if High would die, it's not always a bad thing to die as long as it's for a purpose. Last week he didn't die at all. So he was actually a little bit too far on one spectrum of safety, because I think an ideal High world is where he's actually dying a little bit, because he was losing his turret and giving up a lot of pressure. Although they started off 0-2, 1-1, 2-0. It's all uphill from here, but you can't do better than 2-0.
You can't do better than 2-0, but Cloud9 aren't the only team that started the split with high expectations. There were some other teams that have been struggling to live up to the hype in Liquid and Winterfox.
Yeah, since Liquid brought on Piglet, they haven't been using him effectively, and they've been 1-3 since acquiring him on the team. They need to synergize more and actually accentuate his strengths and cover some of his weaknesses, because that's currently what they're not doing, and they don't synergize at all. played against a Dignitas squad last week that was struggling themselves and had new members on it, but they played a pick composition, Team Dignitas did, and they were able to pick up the stragglers on Liquid that were just running around. They didn't have the communication. They were not on the same page, and that's how that squad was able to pick up the victory. So Liquid need to look at their shot calling, their communication, and their synergy. But that's not something that just changes overnight. You can't just be like, you guys, synergize. It's something that takes time, but we're already 1/3 of the way through the season, so I don't know how much better they'll be able to get in such a short amount of time left, because it's only 9 weeks total.
Yeah, and the most troubling thing to me about Team Liquid is how they almost look to be trending in the wrong direction as far as team play works. And we talk about 80 carry score lines all the time, but I mean, week 1, 6-1-13 or 11 on Kog'Maw, week 2, 9-1-12 on Caitlyn, and then across the next 4 games, a total of 4 kills from the 80 carry. But specifically, like you were saying, getting caught out of position against Dignitas, mid laners going overextended. It's going in the wrong direction for those guys, but they have had a tough schedule. They play Teammate and Gravity this week, which maybe gives them a little bit of hope.
Let's look at Winterfox now.
Yeah, so for Winterfox in particular, that's another team that's kind of just trying to survive. And it's not the story that Winterfox fans were hoping for coming into the year. You have Pobelter and Altec, 2 amazing talents that are now going to be backed up with basically a bunch of Korean talents that are supposed to be coming in. Helios bringing over his brother. Imagine is their support. They boot camped in Korea. They're going to play in Korean, but it just hasn't happened. Those guys still aren't here. And they're just playing for survival, trying to do these little strange gimmick strategies, and it's clearly not working. So at some point, they either have to get the people here or they have to start treating Glebe like a full-time starter.
Yeah, and Pobelter said himself that this is a summer split team. They're looking to just get through and then synergize later on. I think Liquid almost is in that situation as well, where they need that much time to get on the same page.
Yep, might be time to reorient your goals for the season. We'll see.
Maybe.
If you watched last week's action, though, there was one play that stood out, and that was Wild Turtle's Dragon Steal from across the map. Well, this week, Reddit was clamoring for a reaction shot of Wild Turtle as he made that 1 in a million shot. Now, it took some digging, but we found the footage as Wild Turtle calls in the airstrike. Now, you asked for it, so here it is. Let's take a look.
We see Dragon, they're going for Drake.
Can I take
Take turret. Yeah, that's fine straight. We can set up in the red side jungle. We can literally just take the red side jungle. Alright? Do you want to do that?
I don't have any word.
Holy shit, you got it.
Nice.
Surprisingly tasty.
It's just like another day at the office.
We got the crowd going crazy. I was cashing the game. I was like, what is that? And
that almost never happened.
Well, the thing is,
almost never.
As an 80 carry for Wild Turtle, he shoots off the rocket, and then he pays attention to the lane. If you're watching the rocket, you're going to die.
Exactly.
So no one's actually paying attention until they see the thing on the
He goes back to farming, and then everyone sees the little
Like,
tooltip pop up. Like, oh, okay, Dragon's nice.
He started to back at the start of that, and he's like, oh, I guess I'll throw the rocket out. And then he's like, oh, they're all doing Dragon? Let's just push. And they got so much for that because of that lucky play.
Yeah, it is amazing how things can turn on a dime with that. Of course, we'll keep an eye on Wild Turtle again this week because he's only 3 kills out of earning his membership to the prestigious 500 Kills Club.
Yeah, and the big thing is you can see he's got 10 fewer games in Double, 14 fewer games than COP. I like looking at this list mainly because it's the guys that have stuck around the NALCS the longest and have still been able to perform at a high level. Long term, I wonder how Sneaky's going to be making it up at that list because he's got far fewer games seeing he didn't play in Spring Split of 2013.
Displaying their relevance. I love that. Now taking a look at the standings, CLG and TSM start the week tied for first place with only 1 loss on their records. Then it's a 5-way tie for third between Cloud9, Gravity, Teammate, Impulse, and Liquid. Dignitas and Winterfox are sharing 8th place, and Coast is in 10th. And in today's lineup, though, we got some big games. We've got Coast looking to snap their losing streak against Counterlodge Gaming in our first game of the day after Winterfox will face off against Team Impulse, and will close out the day with Gravity versus TSM. Now, if you've updated your client, then you have no doubt noticed that Heartseeker Varus and Sweetheart Annie are now available, and just in time for Valentine's Day. Who would have guessed, right?
Who would have guessed?
And if your response to our Twitter question of the day makes it into our broadcast, you'll earn a code to unlock these new skins. We're asking, what's your NALCS-themed Valentine's Day message or meme? For example, Saint retweeted one that read, "When you're gone, you're like Smite. I miss you." Isn't that?
Yeah, always making fun of himself. I mean, it is a talent in itself to be able to poke fun. And Saint, just pick Callista on COP and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, there you go. Very, very, very clever. Of course, he can't win that skin, so it's up to you. You at home can send yours to @LOL Esports, and remember to use the hashtag LCS. But now we're going to throw it over to the guys at the caster desk to get the games underway.
Thank you very much, Dash. What is up, everybody? This crowd is awesome. Hi, guys. I'm David Freak Turley. With me is the man on a mission, Sam Kobe Hartman-Kensler. You wanted a fun intro, so I gave you one. Man on a mission today. Up first on the Rift, we have Team Coast versus Counter Logic Gaming. Now, unfortunately for Coast, it's a battle between first and last place. Coast have had back-to-back 0-2 weeks.
Yes, they have a very tough mission ahead of them. You know, at the start of the split, Coast consistently had a strong early game. That would give them, you know, a healthy gold lead in that game, but they would end up losing that gold lead later due to late game mistakes. But last week, we even saw Coast struggling right out of the gate and straight up losing the laning phase. And a lot of eyes are going to be looking for their jungler and shot caller Impaler to help right the ship, because he's been instrumental whenever they've found success.
So Coast, of course, looking to bounce back from some morale-shattering losses, but Counter Logic Gaming have to be careful themselves. They have a big showdown with TSM on Sunday. They don't want to get caught overlooking Coast and crashing their ship.
Yeah, I mean, CLG, they've had a great start this year, and they are brimming with confidence, but they tend to lose focus once they get ahead of their opponents. And I've also noticed that they've had a high amount of variance in champion select. They've tied Dignitas for the most unique champion picks at 23 out of just 30 possible so far. And, you know, they've tried a couple different strategies, and Link talked about how they prioritize things a bit differently than a lot of people expect them to. But since this game is against Coast, you know, leading up to their big showdown tomorrow, I think that CLG will probably toe the line a little bit more today and pick more according to the meta. And, you know, not only is Link a really big part for them in Champion Select, but he's also been performing really well in the mid lane, as we saw last week on those skill shot-based champions, Nidalee and Ezreal. He's topping the kill ladder here for North America.
Yeah, you wouldn't have guessed it, but Link is actually being the bigger carry than Doublelift by a long shot. And of course, in League of Legends, though, you are almost never guaranteed a second act, but Skara got his, and he's embracing his job as the new coach for his new team.
I felt that I would be with Dig forever. It's weird. I look in the mirror with a CLG jersey on or a CLG shirt, I'm just like, those aren't the right colors.
I think the first week he was in the house is super weird. I wake up and I go downstairs and I'm like, what are you doing here?
Scar coming over from Dignitas, I don't think it was really weird. It's just, you know, Scar wanted something more.
I kind of really felt stagnated in how I was in my role, like as coach. Like, I didn't feel like I did a great job on Dig. I felt like there's a lot that I could improve, but I wasn't sure how I was going to do that. It took me like a couple weeks to figure out where I really wanted it. Originally, I had planned to actually quit coaching on Dig if we didn't make it to Worlds. I felt that I kind of deserved a second chance for myself, and I decided to take that second chance with CLG.
For the longest time, like, I didn't even like realize or know that Scar was going to be on CLG. There's this like guy I used to always talk to and look up to and ask him for advice when I was on an amateur team, and now he's suddenly our coach. It's really cool to have a coach that's in the house with you. Remote coach didn't really work out for us, so Scar is here now to fill that gap.
As we got to know him more and more, he's like a really nice guy. He opened up to us really quickly, and, you know, we got to know him really, really fast. He just feels like a normal part of CLG now.
I definitely feel like the transitions already happened, like moving in, talking with these guys on a day-by-day basis, working with these guys on a day-by-day basis. I'm learning a lot. I still have a lot to improve on. I just want to make sure that they're focused and they're playing at their best. I think a coach's job is to make sure the players play at their maximum like potential or maximum ability to play, and it's up for the coach to bring them to that level consistently.
And so far, CLG's been pretty much exactly consistent.
As soon as he realizes he's on camera, stone-faced.
Just like not smiling anymore.
All business.
No longer being Scar. Guys, we're going to check out the starting lineups here. On the blue side, Team Coast, Chris in the top lane, Impaler in the jungle, Jess is in mid, Mash on AD carry, and Sheep on support.
And on the red side is CLG. Up top, Zion Spartan in the jungle, Xmithy, mid Link, AD carry, Doublelift, and support Aphromoo.
This is going to be a very interesting match to watch. We talked about CLG not making this a trap game, staying focused, making sure they play a very good game. But Team Coast, I got to run into them before the games very briefly, and Sheep was saying, yeah, it was really heartbreaking to lose those games in the first couple weeks the way we did. It really shook us for a while, but it's like, guys, you realize you're like 3 mistakes away from being 4-2. Like, you guys got this.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I think we're recovered. I think we're okay here. So I do have high hopes for Coast to turn their season around.
It is pretty early in the season still here. Wow, immediate Vibe ban, actually. Even though Smithy has gone back to that champion over and over, I don't feel like that is worth such an early ban here. Maybe they have a really targeted strategy here. Team Coast could be going with some sort of protect and AD carry comp in which they don't want that single target guaranteed engage.
Sure.
Maybe they'll go more poke-oriented.
I also like that if you intend for your other bans to be contested bans, champions like Lissandra, like, you're going to get the Vibe ban out of the way. You know it's not going to happen to you. But, hey, maybe they ban Liss. We can, you know, pick that ban up later. So
yeah, blue side does have a bit more freedom since they do have the first pick. And I know, you know, Smithy, it still is fairly recent since he's come back to the competitive scene. So champion pool does take a while to fill out.
Sure, that's very true. One of his best used to be Evelynn, and no one seems to be playing that champion anymore. So some of his old pool, seemingly unpopular right now. Maokai dropped away from Coast. Top lane ban for top lane ban. I want to see if the Ahri... Well, interesting. This is one of Jess's actually only assassins that he plays in the mid lane, and Coast themselves ban it.
Yeah, they have a very specific first pick in mind here for Team Coast, because I would think that Ahri would be the perfect pickup for them, considering not only how strong the champion is right now, but also because, you know, Jezz definitely favors that one heavily.
This makes me think Janna, because you're getting rid of as many of the reliable engaged champions as possible, so that you can play a disengagey, pokey sort of team.
Rengar has also been a really big part of, you know, the success that Coast found with Impaler. But there it is. Okay.
Does Smithy play Rengar, though? I'm trying to think.
He definitely has in solo queue, so I know he at least plays a champion.
Okay.
I don't know about competitive play if he's pulled it out yet.
It's North America.
Regardless, Kalista in North America. This is we've basically been the scene to adopt her the earliest, I guess. And pretty much all of the AD carries now in North America in love with this champion. Taking that one away from Doublelift is huge.
Wow, but Counter Logic Gaming, they get Lynx Nidalee again.
He's very happy with that pick.
Oh, yeah. There's always a chance it goes to Zion Spartan, too. It actually is a good flex pick.
Oh, yeah. And now, also flexing over to the jungle here, but with Jarvan, probably going to take that one for Smithy.
Yeah. Interesting, though, that CLG aren't picking... I mean, I guess Jarvan is somewhat, but I feel like Kalista can outplay him.
She can easily outplay him.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they don't have reliable engage on the Kalista. They're kind of, so far in Champ Select, just succumbing to the fact that, yeah, MASH is going to do stuff to us.
And again, that does go back to the point that we brought up in the early bans here from Coast.
Right.
Taking out the Vi, that's one of the easiest ways to lock down Kalista. So you can easily see their clear path here. They were thinking Kalista all along. Lissandra and Vi, basically the two worst champions for her to play against because they have very easy CC to land. We'll see how good Mashmi can jump around Smithy's flag and drag, though.
I'm actually a bit surprised they're not stealing away Annie from Aphromoo. I would say that she's probably third up in terms of scariness as a Kalista player, but Irelia top lane, gonna blind pick that one. The Rek'Sai, no rush on this one to show their other solos, I guess. Like, it's just strange because like they know so many of these matchups already, but they're gonna blind pick Irelia regardless.
Chris really, really happy with that one. It looks like, you know, with Lissandra and Gnar banned out, Rumble is basically the last of those top 4 top champions right now. So Zion Spartan's also performed really well, as we saw. Remember the ill-fated dive that got him a double kill and double buffs.
Oh, man.
Extremely far ahead. But I think that the Annie point you bring up is, not only is it really scary for Kalista to play against because of the stun, but also it's one of the best combinations of a support with Kalista. So they would gain quite a lot from that champion.
It's true.
Aphromoo, though, the Black Shield will be in effect once again.
Yeah, and this is Aphromoo wanting, again, to play playmaking supports. He says, I want to be godlike. He says, I want to go out and make plays. I don't want to support my team. I want to make my team do things. So the Dark Binding setting up for the rest of his lineup. Tank Sion. So Zion Spartan's going to be a big beef wall in the top lane facing Irelia.
And Sion can actually add to the spam. If they siege up, you know, with the poke of Nidalee, then the threat of bindings coming out, the shout, the E from Sion is very spammable, and it does allow you to hit your bindings and your spears that much easier. So he does help a bit with the poke squad, but usually I prefer something with a little bit easier CC to land so that you can peel easier. Sion is a bit unwieldy.
He's not the big disengaged top laner. I'd actually like top Morgana in this kind of team composition as opposed to top Sion because she's good for that sort of gameplay, but likely to not be the case. Thresh will come in for Sheep, though, opting into facing Morgana in this matchup, but the whole lineup is here. both supports can pull both bottom laners can pull each other around, and just a lot of single target damage coming out from LeBlanc, Aurelia, Rek'Sai.
Yeah, I mean, they do have really good skirmish power as well with this Coast squad. The thing that they may be lacking is that super hard engage to get to the Nidalee. They might actually be relying on that Kalista ultimate and throw Thresh in to see if he can land some Flay hook combos. Aurelia and Rek'Sai have decent dashes, but not the best when a black shield goes on your target and your Aurelia stun is pretty much useless.
Yeah, it's just going to be on Jesses to pop the black shield if it does come in. CLG, they think they have enough peel to pick up Jinx for Doublelift here. And I got to say, the bot lane looks pretty serviceable for Counterlogic Gaming.
And I've been a really big fan of this recent trend of Jinx popularity.
Yeah, me too.
Both with Doublelift as well as Wild Turtle. She's a really strong hyper carry towards the late game, especially with Doublelift really not liking Tristana. By the way, Tristana is enabled again. Went through completely unpicked, unbanned.
Game 1.
Doublelift definitely not a fan of the champion, and Jinx is extremely strong in late game as well. When you combine it with that black shield safety, makes it a bit easier to play. He's still going to really have to watch his positioning, though, around Jesses and the LeBlanc.
Alrighty, so champions swap on in. No support Sion, no jungle Nidalee, no mid Jarvan. I always keep the hope available, the hope alive that they pick that. Not the case here, though. And now, we're going to see Skara's very first handshake in the North American LCS officially, once he's done talking with the team.
We'll get a report later if it was a limp fish or not. Oh, man.
Oh.
He's going to wait around for it. Oh, no, Skara. You had one job, Skara. That's all you had to do.
Come on. He's waiting for you.
He's gonna call him back out.
All
Skara,
right.
the noob coach. There we go. There we go. Even adds a little bow.
Oh, man. He was not aware of his team's level 1 strategy. The coach comes out and handshakes, then you invade red.
Honestly, coaching is really easy in the LCS. You don't have to do much except for the end handshake there. All right.
You did it wrong. Let us know how you guys think this game is going to go. Tweet hashtag CSTWin or hashtag CLGWin, even though they can't handshake at LOL Esports. And we will update the fan vote once we are on the Rift.
All right. The other thing I really like to watch early in any game with Sion is where they're going to have Zion Spartan start out. Because the thing is, Sion is really easy. It's really easy for him to get that early level advantage by doing a camp, suiciding to it. But I always really am rooting for the other. Oh, never mind. Let's look at this here, as there seems to be a bush prepped.
Yeah, Zion Spartan stunned up there. The engage happens already. Flays the team backwards. CLG, they're looking to fight this one. Rockets doing plenty of damage. Doublelift chunking the team out, and CLG's still chasing him down. Yeah, this invade isn't done yet.
Ooh. All right. The accuracy could improve from CLG's skill shots so far, but they've got a whole game ahead of them to fire those out.
Looks like they're going to be safe to take over this blue buff. So, guys, it does take a village to feed an AD carry. Aphromoo credits the whole team with allowing Doublelift to be all that he can be.
Peter, when he was playing in the past, I don't think he had the right people around him to succeed. He would always take it upon himself to carry the game because, everyone's looking to him to do well. This guy's our best player. He's got to do well all the time. So I felt like that was a lot of stress on him and didn't help him play as best as he could. Just because, if you're relying on one person in a team game, it's going to not bode well. So most of the time that the teams that succeed are all cohesion at an all-time high. They trust each other and everyone's there at the same time. But this year, now that we have our roster that I helped pick with Skara, it's definitely much easier for Peter to excel. And he doesn't have to rely on solely his skill. He can just, outthink the opponent with our rotations, macro play, and stuff like that.
All right, well, speaking of rotations and macro play, CLG do get something akin to a buff steal here. And standard 2-on-2 lanes up top lane.
Yeah, a lot actually went on during the talk there from Aphromoo. CLG did see the duo lane from Coast head up due to their deep wards, but they had already committed top laner and jungle to this blue side. So Zion was able to start with half of a camp there, sharing it with Jarvan, and then having to use his teleport to get to lane. So Coast have an early teleport advantage, But it is a little dangerous here as Impaler goes to try and recoup a second buff in enemy territory. Smithy, though, stopped to get the crab, so should be okay for Impaler.
Yeah, so I do want to see if Impaler is able to grab this pretty easily. Looks like there's not going to be anyone trying to stop him with a blue buff, so buffs do get traded equal at the start of the game, despite CLG getting to steal one at the beginning. Smithy will not contest whatsoever. Zion does not try to defend it, so 2-2 on buffs. No big risks taken.
Yeah, so they didn't try and make use of the Zion passive either. Not getting unnecessarily low and suiciding to anything. Going with the double jungle. Since they called the swap here, answer 2 versus 2, we won't see the early tower dives or early roaming supports either. So the junglers will have pretty much the full say as far as the roaming plays go this game around. We'll see, though, because CLG are really big fans of having their dual lane, Doublelift and Aphromoo, shove their lane up quickly, make use of their laning prowess, and then gain a small window of time for Aphromoo to go roam and affect the map with those highly skilled bindings that he can fire off.
That's true. But meanwhile, though, the bottom side of the map kind of seemed to be all Impalers. He's still 2 camps away from Smithy. Smithy walked in the jungle, realized there's nothing for him to do there. He stepped on a tunnel, meaning Coast knows he's on the bottom right corner of the map.
Yeah. Plus, Smithy did leave a ward deep in that blue side, or Impaler did.
Yeah.
Here comes the early roam from CLG, though. As expected, they shove up their lane and immediately try and take advantage of those few seconds that they have, the little breathing room.
Okay, there's the hop.
He burns a little bit of mana, and that's about it.
Oh, Smithy puts himself in turret range. He's going to take 2 turret shots for that one. Forced to flash away. That was over-aggression by Smithy.
Yeah, just misjudging the tower range right there, I believe, for Smithy. And good play there from Chris to make him pay for it. They get a flash off of the jungler. Not the biggest deal, but it is a little bit of a win. So far, Summoner Spells advantage going here for Team Coast. They still have that teleport advantage, only for a little bit longer, as Zion did use his to the tower.
Yeah. Chris did use his flash in the escape, though, so if they can repeat gank, which looks like Link is trying to do here, as he hops over towards the Krugs, maybe they can set up a play. Chris is low. Zion under the turret. They're looking pretty aggressive. Shield goes on. He pulls aggro early. Link's not going to land the javelin, though.
Okay, so if they wait that long and the minion line is there, they don't get a clear spear from Link, then you really need to abort as soon as the spear does not land. So CLG not overextending. It is something that I like, though. Not only does Aphromoo take every opportunity to roam, but Link also has been roaming a lot with that mid lane Nidalee.
Wow. Perfect aggression by Link. Takes the full combo onto Jesses and backs up before Impaler can even hit him.
Yeah, he's a seasoned Nidalee player.
Yeah.
Does not jump in and stay in melee range longer than he absolutely has to. Smithy did show himself top, by the way, so that's why Impaler was able to go aggressive and take out that pink ward.
And 2 Sentinels got cleared away as well by Smithy. Good buy-in into Sheep. I'm not sure. Yep, the Flame Peppers do hit after all. Sheep going to lose about 300 health for that whole thing.
Yeah.
CLG not actually accruing much of a gold lead, even though it might look like they're being dominant in lane. So far, actually, Coast holding equal, which, again, spells well for them. They were having problems doing that earlier on, last week, the week before that. But so far, decent.
I like the play from both sides so far here. Right, Smithy going to take 1 shot as he goes by the mid lane. He also saw that ward placed, by the way. So they should be aware that there's, they ping it right now. So they know there's a pink ward in there. Actually, Jesses loses quite a lot of value of placing that while Smithy's walking right by. Can easily work around that pink ward. I really like what CLG did, even though none of the roams worked, though. You can see how they're always looking to be a playmaker in the early game. From both sides of the lanes there. Yeah. Both Link and Aphromoo. As soon as they get an opportunity, look for something, try and make it happen, even though it didn't pay off either time.
And again, it didn't penalize them, really. You're seeing the gold essentially identical here on both teams. CLG going for these, 15% chance of a gank succeeding plays, and really no risk for it. So I really can't complain at all by their choices here.
Now, sense Smithy knew there was a ward in that bush. Oh, okay, let's take a look at that binding. He actually wasted his Raptor buff there. Maybe he wasn't aware that it was a pink ward. But walking over to a pink ward that you already know is there when you have Raptor buff, unfortunate for him.
Yeah. Zion safely, I believe, yeah, he will not get stunned here. Clears the pink. He's going to slow him down and walk away. Really no major damage being done, and with stun max on Aurelia, she doesn't break through the shield with auto attacks very well, so. Just a slow, methodical, high minion kill game. Jessis gets his first blue buff. Looks like Link will go for the same.
Now, we are getting towards the point where I would look for a little bit more roam from Jessis, as he does have blue buff now. Try and push up the lane and then make something happen with LeBlanc. However, it is fairly difficult for him to affect that top duo, so maybe they're going to have more focus down bottom. That's what Smithy has in mind. Comes in for a lane gank. They've also warded up a bit in the river.
Yeah, just all these lanes fairly hard to gank. Now, they do have Chris's flash time. It's still down for 30 seconds. There's the slow, there's the knock. He cannot flash away, so is the CC good enough? Chris pops ulti, but he's stuck in Cataclysm, jumps to a caster minion, still running, jumps to a melee. Chris dodges a Zion Spartan, ultimately gets slowed. In comes Impaler, the counter gank means first blood. Now Zion Spartan forced to run. He does have flash, does he need to use it? He does. Beautiful play by Chris, and an even better counter gank by Impaler.
Wow, finesse over brute strength in that bottom lane matchup right there. Very good play from Chris, utilizing Aurelia's dash to outplay Zion completely. We touched on the unwieldiness of the champion. Really, really nice mechanics there from Chris, able to get out of the Cataclysm, dodge back, and even dodge the ultimate. Impaler on the bottom side of the map, able to come over for the first blood. Pretty big opening here for Coast, and we said a lot of emphasis is going to be put on that early game for them. They've been focusing much more.
Oh, speaking of focusing, though, a lot of stuns. Got focused on the Mash, but he's able to hop in. Great flash by Afro, but Mash does get away. Pops the Thresh back in, hooks an Afro move. Coast start the game 2-0.
And just literally another 2v2 outplay here from Coast. Beautiful job there, utilizing the Kalista ultimate. Let's see this time, though. Smithy really wants to make up for it. There's a ward here, and he just had to clear one in the Tri-Bush as well with his Raptor buff. So Coast, again, another 2v2 outplay, another small lead. Now, these are kills that are going to affect their lanes and make the laning that much easier, but they haven't gotten global objective quite yet. We'll see if the gold difference can translate into an item that they're actually able to utilize.
Ooh. Well, we'll have to see when the recalls come in. Chris,
he's got to know.
Got himself a Sheen and a couple more wards. That's all fine. Link getting some damage into Jessis.
Yeah, Jess is just stepping a little too close right there into the swipe range. Taylor kills another pink ward, though. And he does have Rek'Sai ultimate available as well. So this move up top from Smithy up into the blue side jungle, while it is timed with the lane swap back as they send Aurelia top, you always have to keep in the back of your mind the Rek'Sai jungle. And do you have all of the tunnels cleared out?
Oh, wow.
They're clearing out the tunnels right now, so Chris has to know they're up there. Goes aggro onto double lift, and the binding hits the minion.
Misses the bind. He's stuck behind the turret, though, but in comes Smithy. The rocket misses. Chris is safe. The dragon goes to Coast the whole time. Coast can do no wrong this game.
Well, these are just pure outplays, too. You can't take anything away from the players of Coast. They are very focused this game. Really good job there, taking advantage of the commitment top, by the way. It wasn't when they saw everyone from CLG appear in the top lane. It was when they started seeing the tunnels go down. Smithy was stepping on all the tunnels to make sure that when they went for the dive, Rek'Sai wouldn't pop up. But by doing that early, it notified Impaler that they were up top, so they go for the dragon. And now they're going to look for a dive onto Sion here. They should actually just focus down the turret.
And so far they are.
They
are. 200
are.
health. Sion does not. He does have ulti, but he gets hooked in. Pops it. He's going to get away.
Yeah, there's not much you can do to stop that besides throwing your body in front of him. And nobody able to do that this time, so they take the objective cleanly. Dragon plus the first turret for Coast to go down. So they've evened up turrets and they have the dragon lead.
And with 1,000 gold lead thanks to all their early kills, life looks good for Coast fans here. See if they can keep this one up. This is, again, this has happened so many times for these guys. They've only managed to convert it into a win once, so you still have to be very afraid of their mid-game here. CLG, though, with a rare early deficit. Not typical for these guys.
Kicking the dodge the other way. Yeah, CLG, on the other hand, this is another one of the teams that has always had the early laning phase advantage. Usually, from their cross-map play, this time around, they were just purely outplayed in lanes. 3 versus 3 down bottom. I don't think Coast can actually get a kill, but they can, you know, defend the turret at least.
Okay. And so turret stays alive. Rexley ult down doesn't mean too much. Chris now under an enemy turret, but he's got no one to kill him. Teleport comes in from Sion, though. No aggro. Ulted under the turret, though. Captain's doing a lot, and yeah, he's got nowhere to go. Pull turret aggro. Nice, I guess, gank.
Yeah, I mean, there are no minions around. His flash was down from the last time he was able to escape. So good job of CLG capitalizing.
Oh, hold on, though. Link already burned his hop. He burned his flash as well to get away. Does escape, and after he's going to hold the lane for a bit.
Let's see what they can do with this teleport advantage here for Team Coast. Because Dragon is down. Oh,
that was nice. Doublelift does not have flash. He goes down right away. Mash gets his second kill of the game, and that's going to be a blue buff steal on top of it.
And there's the drawback of these AD carries that do not have their own built-in dash. If you do not have FMO near you, you do not have your black shield to rely on, then you will be an easy target for the Kalista Thresh combo, who have a ridiculous amount of mobility, both being able to save the other in any dangerous situation or extend for a long hook like that with the ultimate. So, as you mentioned, though, Coast have had early leads before against many opponents early on in the season. What really they've suffered with is the late game shot calling. And I was actually talking to Impala earlier today, and it's been something that they've been working on. They still realize they have a lot of problems with it. So he's been playing more junglers that are easier for the team to know when their initiation is going to go in. This one, Rek'Sai, though, is actually going to rely quite heavily on flash. So we'll see what happens when CLG can actually group up and utilize their poke. You know, when they have the black shield to defend Doublelift and they're able to throw out constant Nidalee spears and bindings. That's when the real test will come for Team Coast. Can they get the snap initiation under the pressure of skill shots?
And at a certain extent, I wonder if they super need to, since Chris is doing, I would say, rather well. So is the Kalista here from MASH. Like, they could split push CLG to death and not deal with the siege.
Oh, here comes the teleport, and it looks like it's just going to be to clean up minions here on the bottom side for Chris.
Okay.
So it will be a reduced duration, but Zion's was also used onto the teleport, even though he used his for a kill. So CLG will be the ones in command of that earlier.
Yeah, and
here comes the group. Blue buff onto Link. They just want to take advantage of the poke.
Okay, they're going to try early here. 2 outer turrets already dead, but mid lane, the lane that CLG is staying in, is the only outer turret left available. Zion Spartan happy to tank the outer turret. The team's going to knock it down. Yeah, Chris can't show up, and there we go. CLG group and get the turret successfully.
That split pushing option that you pointed out quickly removed from Coast by using the teleport just to clean up that minion wave. Yeah, it actually removes a lot of their threats. So now going to have to play a little bit more defensively, trying to clear out the wards. They do have the dragon timer. 55 seconds left for this one.
We'll see if CLG want to fight for it. Of course, with a poke-heavy team like this, they don't necessarily want to be engaged on too hard.
Yeah, if Coast can actually gain control of vision first around the dragon, then it would be really strong for them to hold that position. They have LeBlanc. They have the possibility of Thresh hooks coming from Fog of War. So even CLG would have a fairly difficult time working their way through the jungle corridors. But Smithy doing his best to clear out tunnels and get some of that vision back so they don't have to face check skill shots.
Good back Smithy to kind of walk forward. They've got a couple of Nidalee traps down as well. Jess is going to poke a little bit, but not get much done. And
also,
the ward control back and forth.
The Runons is done for MASH here, and he's also already got some extra AD in with the BF sword part of his Bloodthirster. So their team fight with the Kalista is actually fairly powerful, even if they do get caught inside this Dragon Pit. So immediately starting it off, the vision of CLG, they were not able to move their lineup into the river. So another clean dragon here for Team Coast.
And they don't even have to pay with turret destruction or anything. Like, minion waves only equal right now. They'll get to mid in time, although CLG are grouped up. Coast actually misattributing their players. Thresh and Kallisto are far.
Yeah, so let's see. How quickly can CLG push through this turret? Because Kallisto's walking over right now. Chris uses his ultimate for wave clear.
Jumps on Smithy, a lot of damage down into Jarvan. This might mean CLG has to run. Zion Spartan is getting blocked off as well. Forced to flash and then ult away.
Oh, that binding was actually crucial, because even though Sheep looked like he was far away, he has flash right now. He was looking for the flash hook. Didn't get it because he got hit with the binding, but they still have the health advantage, and they're looking to answer turret.
Coast immediately re-engaged, but the health bar is dropping quickly. Chris tanks a Javelin, and it seems like Counterlogic Gaming will be able to defend this one, so neither team making great headway in their mid-sieges. CLG, though, not wanting to stop just yet. Coast take this time to get control over the northern jungle. You're seeing a couple of wards down. Now they own the north side rotations.
Ooh, Spear barely missing.
Oh, there's a flash engage. The Doublelift forced to flash away. Chris gets on him, and there's the first kill picked back into the knockup, though, as Zion and everyone else comes on in. Coast, though, looked like they are forced to retreat away. Mash pulls Sheep to safety. Just the one for 0. Link, though, still on the chase. He's going to give it up.
What a flank right there.
Hold on. Oh, there's still, nope. Okay.
So, yeah, I'm sure we'll see the beginnings of that flank once again here. But Coast really doing a good job of taking advantage here of the low mobility Jinx pick from Doublelift. They caught him out in the jungle. Then they come up. Sheep with the lantern straight on top of him. Sheep's actually the one to break that black shield. And Chris is able to just annihilate Doublelift. This Aurelia, working on that Trinity Force power spike that we always talk about, makes very quick work of Jinx. Now summonerless. Doublelift is going to be a sitting duck.
Yeah.
So they really are going to have to worry about the quick initiations that we were wondering about from Coast. Very good job there using the flank to pull it off that time.
Oh, wow, the flash engage. Afro exhausts, then binds Mash. In comes Link. Down he goes. Doublelift not able to secure the kill for himself. Only 0-2 on himself.
Mash a bit far from home on that one. Sure way he was wandering around through the river without any support or any ward coverage. Good play from Afromoo there to capitalize, though. Burns both summoners to get the kill on the AD carry. No objective taken afterwards, but they do have a lot of pressure bottom. They can probably hard shove this. Smithy was waiting in the bush just to see if there was going to be any danger for Doublelift, maybe use him as a bit of bait. But once they see everyone show mid, they make the call to bring Smithy out, help clear, and take down the turret quickly. Good call from CLG, shoving for the objective.
Nicely done. So they can keep on moving if they like. There's actually no one on the bottom side of the map to defend Doublelift. He does not look like he wants to play too far up, though, after this minion. He's going to back out.
Yep. Senses tingling there. Got a little bit of a long stay in enemy territory with very few wards deep in the red side jungle.
Yep. Sure enough, Failure had shown up.
So gold fairly close here. After all is said and done. Really the big difference is the dragon, and if the third dragon goes to Coast, it'll benefit them quite heavily in the team fights, because they are relying on everyone jumping on Doublelift very quickly, Impaler and Chris, to take him out. If they have that extra speed, it will make their flank easier to pull off, as well as the all-in.
So, and that being 3.5 minutes away, roughly, you gotta wonder, does CLG start prioritizing vision on this area of the map? So far, not a lot of wards. They haven't been able to keep their waves pushed up to get these wards in the southern jungle. Okay, 2 minutes on Dragon now.
Even though it is so close, Coast definitely with a pretty good handle on this game. Anytime the more poke-oriented teams do get behind early, you have to be really careful about your vision. Every move that CLG makes needs to first be placed with a line of wards, so that they know that their line of Link and Doublelift will not get jumped on.
Well, Zion got jumped on. Chris pops the shield in one hit. And that top lane is so heavily pushed in, it's very easy for Coast to control the north side of the map. It's not the side by Dragon, they don't need it as much, but...
Yeah, I mean, they can control a lot of the neutral territory, but they cannot threaten turrets very easily.
No.
Even though there's not a ginormous amount of wave clear on CLG, it's very dangerous for Coast to get up there, because they have the short range Kalista.
Yeah.
And not a lot of pressure on turrets.
But they do at least have the ability to like toss a lantern every wave and just say hit it, and if they show up, just click it and get away.
Yeah.
It's fast enough to retreat that I can't see CLG landing a reliable engage on MASH while this happens. But right now, Coast do not seem willing to expose themselves to that.
Jez is maybe getting a couple LeBlanc pot shots off on the turret. Chip down fairly slowly. Chris, though, the Aurelia, the pressure here from Trinity Force Aurelia.
You gotta be careful, though.
Top.
The team's coming up.
Let's see how Link is able to do.
Knock up Javelin. Link. Oh, the Q! Chris gets away from the leap. Link can try again. Lands another spear. Good stun by Chris. He's
Afro coming in.
Save that. The binding will miss, though. Ulti gets popped. Chris does not have flash. This stun's going to land. The kill's going to Link. What did Coast do in the meantime?
Not much. They got some free farm on Kalista, but it's a fairly far pushed wave. So CLG do not sacrifice anything for committing everyone up top. Pretty much going to... Uh-oh,
There's only two of them. Sion charges in and breaks the line. Doublelift is not going to go down to Jess's. Impaler tries, gets exhausted, gets the Q just barely, and somehow Jess's didn't die. I have no idea how that happened, but he managed to survive with a flash.
Oh, go to the tunnel!
Impaler, wrong side of this one, trying to kite away from Link. Yeah, doesn't go for the tunnel, doesn't get out. Just the 1-for-1 on the backside of that.
So, yeah, just a 1-for-1 trade. Again, though, they attack Doublelift, and they get another summoner out of Doublelift. His flash is constantly being burned on cooldown. Dragon up, though. Let's see if they're able to do this. Coast still retaining control. Scuttle Crab down for them.
Yeah. They stole it away from Xmithie despite him flashing. They go for the engage, though. Hook comes in.
Teleport in.
And here comes Chris, knocked up by Xmithie. He's going to try to run away. Oh, the Javelin did hit, but Xmithie forced a flash to his own turret over the wall.
They got the jungler.
Control.
They got the jungler low enough, and they have Kalista.
Ooh. He has BT though. He should be able to lifesteal off this.
That would have been his life. If he was
yeah.
had his back to that rocket trying to do dragon, he would have been broke.
Impaler able to ult back into this one, so Coast might look good
Xmithie
here.
half health, remember.
But of course, so is MASH as well as Jess's. Logic Gaming really want this one. Coast all coming down the left-hand side. Sion ult is down. Xmithie's is up though. Impaler looking to tunnel through the wall to get this one. Goes in, doesn't get the steal.
Yeah, they're not going to fully commit to that because Kalista was in position. They were just going for the steal there. Rek'Sai tunnel in into a lantern out. Did not want to challenge CLG, and that's actually fairly big for CLG. As we said, taking away the third dragon as well as getting the percentage buff for themselves at the 25-minute mark. Finally starting to feel that one. Coast did take advantage, though. They had that mid position. A little bit of damage on the turret.
At least they managed to equalize the outer turret score there, but Logic Gaming putting the kills back closer. They were down 2, now they're only down 1. They finally got a dragon on the board, denying that important number 3 from Coast. Makes me think it's been going pretty okay for CLG.
Yeah, that was a fairly tense little mid-period there for CLG, but now that they've secured the neutral objective, they can feel much, much better about getting blue buff on Link and going into a more stable 5v5 heads-up laning experience there, going up to a turret. We'll see if they can land poke before the next engage. Coast have actually littered the bottom side with wards in preparation for that dragon. So it was huge for CLG to actually come out with that objective and not lose anyone. If they had to walk through that jungle up to the dragon, it could have been very, very painful for them. Kalista, though, could still be a problem in the team fights. It's going to be all up to the dodging abilities of MASH and skill shots from CLG because they have no point and click ability to lock down Kalista.
True.
Even Jarvan Ultimate, she can jump out of it. So Xmithie can get the damage on her, but he won't be able to keep her bottled up.
It's also interesting to note Impaler's build here. Basically, the Hexdrinker second really delaying his tank stats quite a lot, really wanted to be a damage dealer, and this could get punished by Link Black Shield. Nope, planted himself out. But Impaler really wanted to make himself a threat into the back line, wanted to pick off Doublelift and saying if he goes down, so does all of your damage.
Yeah, and again, it's either Doublelift or Link. If they take either one of those backline components out very early, then it can easily be cleaned up here, as Thresh and Kalista can very easily run circles around this front line from CLG. Sion and Jarvan can easily be outplayed by the Thresh Kalista combo.
It makes it all the harder for Counterlogic Gaming to navigate these fights properly. Props to them for doing what they have so far. Coast, of course, still wanted to split this game up as much as possible.
Yeah, and CLG, it's actually fairly scary for them. You know, their vision is lacking at the moment. So they have to be very careful about how they set up the battlefield before they take the fight with Coast.
I just want to point out how far ahead Chris is over Zion Spartan. 80 minions above from all the split push power. Smithy, okay, he's going to get just fine, but you can see that Coast splitting this game up, playing their split push with Chris. They're accruing gigantic leads farther and farther and farther into this game, which makes their big sort of single target assassins, the Aurelia, the Rek'Sai, the LeBlanc, they keep getting so big that Doublelift's got to be so afraid for his life.
Yeah, there's not much Doublelift can do. It's very hard to peel this Aurelia since Chris went right into a Banshee's Veil afterwards. Also, with the built-in tenacity of Aurelia and Merc Treads, his main objective here is just assassinate backlines, and he's got the plenty of damage with Trinity Force, so we'll see how effective he can pull that one off. Doublelift's flash almost back up, though, as that is the most important thing that Coasts are timing right now. They should be well aware that it's back up now for the next team fight.
Chris right now lacking wards makes him play a bit defensively here. Just has to clear the wave on his side of the river. Actually, I take it back. Coast with a couple of nice deep pink wards on the right side. We'll be able to watch most jungle roams. No lane ganks to be spotted, but anything past wolves will be seen. Baron, of course, since 9 minutes ago, has been a potential objective. Neither team have been trying very hard to make that theirs, though. I would imagine the team with Nidalee and Jinx would kill it extremely fast. That said, so would the team with Kalista. I think the threat of Baron is actually very real on both sides.
You can definitely see that CLG are worried about it. Anytime you are against a team with Kalista, you cannot lax with that ward coverage. Meanwhile, Coast have basically claimed the south side, so CLG and Coast, opposite priorities spent here. Coast don't really look like they have eyes for Baron. Just waiting for the next dragon and retaining their constant vision control over this bottom side. So what CLG are doing, you never want to go fight in the part of the map where you are completely dark in Fog of War. Basically, the reason it's so slow right now is both teams unwilling to venture into the darkness.
Yeah.
Doing a good job of playing to their territory that they've actually controlled so far.
Yeah. Coast seem very willing to try to create death brush strategies.
There it is.
CLG on top full ward, they did not sweep. What a great ward hidden in the corner there. Rek'Sai ult comes in. CLG realize that they've been had. They back it out, but Doublelift's at half health right now.
It's also the other thing why I really like how Coast have played around the map right now and, you know, just retaining control of Dragon side. Rek'Sai makes a team really, really scared to try and sneak a Baron. Not only because you get that global scream and you just wonder where on the map is Rek'Sai, but also because of the sonar.
Oh,
Jez
man.
gets hit.
What a great binding. CLG found exactly what they needed. Coast, they can look for the steal, but they certainly can't look to fight this.
And just like that, everything crumbles for Coast. All that work they put into, spending all their vision. Oh, they're going for the steal again. Let's see if he gets it this time.
Nope.
And it back out.
Doesn't even take the lantern.
Doesn't need to. He's got a pre-existing tunnel there. But just with that one move there from Jez is getting a little too close and another binding from Afumu landing, all of their best laid plans was just gone out the window, and CLG take the dragon that Coast prepped so hard for.
Coast, they tried to push top lane. Actually, that's going to be Smithy getting caught out a little bit, though. EQ's over the wall. But Coast tried to push top lane with Chris while the dragon attempt was going on. They got half the turret down, but this split push really has not progressed much at all.
Speaking of split push, look at this bold move. They had Doublelift down bottom with no ward coverage in enemy territory, and he just shoving down bottom while they keep the rest of Coast playing the ward game around Baron. So Doublelift have been able to sneak a little bit of extra CS.
Oh, knock up the flash engage on a Link. He flashes out, takes a black shield. Smithy in the front line forced to flag and drag away, but the flash! Flay from Sheep pulls a kill up. Chris will not even take a stun. Zion Spartan runs away from the front line. Coast finally get a pick for themselves.
Yeah, they make CLG pay for that little bit of a greedy move, having Doublelift get some extra farm. while 4 members try and hold up the Vision game. Smithy and Link a little bit close. Smithy's the one to pay the price, but now they've gained position on mid.
But is anything really gained for it here? It's still a 5v4 with Noah Smithy there. Chris walks up Zion, so tanky. Chris forced to disengage because of all the damage output from Doublelift.
Yep, the main components are still there for CLG. It's hard to get inside, especially without the flash from Chris this time around to be able to actually close distance. Now, you could also see how Sheep just completely ignores Sion. Now, full tank Sion is fairly easy for a lot of teams to ignore towards the late game and just work around him. Jens is actually taking a pretty good chunk out of him.
And they can't easily work through him, though. Lubov does get taken by Counterlogic Gaming, and Impaler still wants things to happen, but Smithy is going to be able to rejoin the team here. Chris still playing very forward. Up 90 minions now over Zion Spartan. That lead continues to grow over this game. The split push is getting 1 member big from Coast. But so far they've been able to play around him well enough that maybe that won't be good enough for Coast. They're going to start Baron here. Control is theirs.
It's going down fairly slowly, though. Smithy now in the area. Now, while Kalista can pretty much secure the last hit on Baron, they don't have a really strong tank that can take full hits. Because Aurelia did go, early training force, not full tank, and Impaler, a jungler, also had that Hex Drinker fairly early that you talked about.
Yeah.
They don't really have the ability to tank it for that long without taking substantial hits to health bars of their front line.
One thing to keep in mind with Kalista is, unlike Smite, stuns do stop her from casting Ren. So, you can't like stun the Jarvan and prevent the steal, but you can stun the Kalista to do so. So always a possibility for Coast. They can use Sion to do something.
Yeah, the problem is that you have to stun her so early.
Oh, of course.
Since she does 2,000 plus damage to it.
I'm not saying it's not a lot of damage, but at the very least, you can do that.
All right, well, let's see here, because Coast are actually working with a giant minion wave that's taking out this turret down bottom.
Nicely set up push by Coast to make that one happen.
Ooh.
Wow, they jump in on top of a ward. 4-man engage. Are they going to have the damage? Smithy gets the first kill, but they're trading back. Doublelift with a double kill so far. He's still alive. They're chasing back onto Chris. He's going to drop as well. What a beautiful fight by CLG despite getting engaged on.
And they all stack up inside a brush with a ward on it. CLG actually come out ahead. We're definitely going to need to take another look at that fight because that's going to be a huge turning point. CLG with Baron, this is the poke squad. This is the squad that wants to siege up around turrets. Now that they have Baron, this is going to be a very big swing in the game. And we're finally going to see a giant change in momentum here. This fight, with them all being on the ward here. Now, Coast have completely vision. There's one knock-up straight. It should go into Impaler knock-up. But they don't get Doublelift. Look at Doublelift on the backside, dumping out damage. Everybody just kind of jumps in, and the bars are all stacked right on top of each other. So even though they do take out Link early, which is great, the AD carry, Jinx, on the back line is firing the entire time that fight.
She's doing 4x damage. Right, keep in mind, she's doing quadruple the damage normal.
I mean,
because everyone's on top of her.
Yeah, and that's like, they were perfectly clumped up for the rocket explosion. How often do you get that with Jinx? Very rarely. And even though CLG were grouped up, by them being grouped up, it kind of forced Coast to get in there, everyone melee range. So
Jinx Q, Jinx R, Morgana ulti with Zhonya's, like so many good things actually work. And this is what I like, again, about poke comps, is you play really good counter-engaged champions. You play champions like Morgana, that say if you go in, you're actually going to get hit by some really powerful ultimates.
I mean, if you're going to get that much value out of your Jinx in a team fight, then it doesn't even matter if your mid lane poke champion gets taken out early. I mean, Link, he didn't get to do anything there because he was right on the front lines, but Doublelift with the heads-up positioning back away from the rest of the team. And that earned them a very, very easy Baron, and we'll see what they can do with it. Still worried about these picks and hard engages here. There goes one hook, but they don't want to commit to it.
Word gets swept, and CLG want Dragon number 3 for themselves. And once again, Coast can try to steal.
And they go for the double commitment this time, bringing everything. Jez's plus Impaler. Great coordination. Eventually, you're going to get that steal. Just keep trying. That was Dragon number 3, by the way. That all-important speed that we talked up.
But it's a Baron buff siege right now. Zion Spartan taking the turret. It takes 3 turret shots just to break his shield. Oh, man. This siege is going to be hard to deal with for Coast.
Yeah, Jinx damage will melt right through that. Link with the blue buff here. They should just be fairly patient with the siege because they have the Baron buff. They can wait for bindings and spears to land.
Oh. That's some damage though. Jess is though also forced away, so jungler and mid laner.
That's a great trade. CLG will take the life of the mid laner for the HP bar of their jungler any day, and they're able to get a really easy inhibitor.
Whoa! Chris, 100 health left on him from the Jinx ulti, but that's going to be enough for the inhibitor to go down. And CLG with the Baron buff make quick work of the first inhibitor.
Yeah. Superior sieging team with the Baron. Gonna be very happy days for them. Let's see how much CLG can actually get with their true sight inside red side jungle here. This could be very dangerous for Coast. Everybody heading up towards the opposite side of the map though, so CLG wasting a bit of time. They will not catch anything today.
Yeah, they're not going to invade in the jungle. They're not going to get behind Coast. They're going to stay safe. But the tier 2 turrets, only a matter of time before CLG tries to take them down. With the remainders, actually Baron buff is gone, but they're still ahead quite a bit.
Yeah.
The weird thing is it's only a 2,500 gold lead. It just feels like so much more.
I think, well, it's because of the way that the champions that they chose in Champion Select play out here for CLG. Much easier for CLG to siege up on turrets, and it makes it really hard for Coast to get that flank around. They really would benefit from, you know, fights more out in the open where they can get Chris from the side. They can get Impaler an easy avenue in. But when they're bottled up in a secondary turret side lane, CLG are just throwing out skill shots. Very easy for them to poke down Coast.
Oh, stun and double lift right before the Black Shield comes out, which doesn't seem to matter. CLG going to take another outer turret, or another tier 2, I should say. Bring them to about a 4,000 gold. Hook onto Xmithie, but just not enough damage is dealt. There's no follow-up. Mash forced retreat back, so does the front line of CLG. But now comes work onto the inhibitor turret. Down to 2/3 health once again. In goes Chris, looks for the back line. Will they have enough though? Jess is joining the fight. Chris though with the root goes down right away. Xmithie, can he get picked off? Looks like the answer should be yes. Mash trades back. Both teams lose a front liner. Double lift goes in, not going to find the damage though.
Ooh, they have health bar advantage. But the turret at half-life, they won't be able to finish it off too quickly here. Doublelift is going for it. Oh, they have the teleport to rely on. Wow. Second inhibitor turret goes down.
Nicely done by CLG and Zion Spartan. Now will they try again? Jessus gets rooted up a little bit. Has to once again retreat. Another hook onto this Zion. He's so incredibly tanky. He just refuses to go down to these team fights. Nash not able to rend him. Another flash hook. Just simply ults out, but Impaler catches the 2-man knockup. This could be the fight they want, but no, Sheep already drops Impaler, forced to run away. That'll be a kill for Link, double kill for the Nidalee player. Now it is a 2 versus 4, and CLG have absolute control right now. Chris up in 4 seconds, but this inhibitor will fall first.
Yeah, that's going to be double inhibitors, and CLG should retreat after this one, go spend all of the cash that they just earned. That should be plenty of money, more than enough for them to finish out their siege. And man, for Coast right now, really, really looking for some miracle death bush play. Try and get some vision advantage. Maybe everybody wait inside of a bush and pop out right next to CLG. They still have a lot of damage. You know, they can burst out the back line. But again, they have to be wary and make sure that they're keeping track of both members of that back line. Not just Link, but Doublelift as well. No flash on him. So they have a small amount of hope.
One thing that hurts Coast quite a bit, though, is their lack of ability to kill tanks. You look at Xmithie's build. You compare him to Impaler. Impaler went for the Sight Stone, the Hex Drinker. He's not very durable. Xmithie went straight tank, right? GA. He's got a Randuin's Omen. He's a very beefy guy. Zion Spartan huge as well. And what's unfortunate here is there's no Infinity Edge on Mash. There's no tank busting really on this team from Coast.
And that's just according to his role in the game. Xmithie's main job is to soak up damage. How many times on the front line have we seen him be the recipient of the hook, him be the recipient of the burst from Jezus? That's exactly what CLG want. CLG, one of their greatest strengths right now with everybody, everyone speaking English they talked about, everybody being friends. is alignment. If you ever talk to any manager or any CEO, the key to executing your strategy is all about alignment and everyone understanding the objectives of the entire team. Everybody on CLG aware of their role in this overall team strategy. And Smithy and Zion's role is to soak the skill shots and soak the damage. So they built accordingly. They have perfect alignment and buy-in from all stakeholders, so very easy for them to execute.
So for execute, they have CLG have been in complete control for the last 15 minutes of this game. They're looking at Baron attempt number 2 right here. Coast are around, but can they make anything happen out of this one? CLG will disengage, look for a fight. Zion pops ulti, match flashes, and gets stunned anyway. Pops his QSS to get himself out a little bit sooner, but in comes Chris, loses half his health before the fight even starts. Jess is trying to make big plays, but gets extremely exploded. Link takes him down. Now Sheep is the focus of attention. That is going to be another kill for Counter Logic Gaming. Nothing can go wrong for these guys. Coast forced to run farther and farther and farther away. Hops to the Scuttle Crab, but Link is on the chase. Hop, skip, and a jump. There's a kill. No.
Well,
Flashed by Chris.
He's still Nidalee. He should be able to keep up the chase here.
Yep. Jump to a minion. Hut. Oh, no reset though. There it is. Impaler also going to fall now. Quick work by CLG. 4 kills here. They can walk right up to the minion line, push mid in towards the Nexus itself. And there we go. Only Mash is alive versus 5 members of Counter Logic Gaming. Turret number 1 falls. Turret number 2 going to fall as well. CLG, they survive the early great plays from Coast and remain in first place after a well-controlled siege.
And I think that was actually very telling. CLG, for once, not just coming straight out and crushing early on.
Yeah.
You know, don't have a lane swap to take advantage of their opponents as far as moving across the map. They don't have the lane dominance, you know, being outplayed. Straight up, they just got outplayed on both side lanes. But still, they were able to keep calm, and everyone played their part in the strategy. And it was really that turning point. As soon as they got the team fight to win and take Baron, they're the poke team, they're the siege team. At that point, it's really clear path for them, and they just stuck to the plan.
Yeah, so good on them to be patient, give up the dragons, give up the pressure when you have to. And then a couple of good picks turned into so much more.
That being said, it was a lot of luck as well for CLG. For Team Coast to have the advantage of the vision and the entire CLG team grouped up in that bush by Baron, but then get a little bit too overexcited and everyone jumps in and they group up. They had no battle plan for this huge advantage. I mean, you can't really ask for a better advantage than to have a full vision of your opponents with them all grouped up, but they rushed it a little bit. They got a little bit antsy and they did not target Doublelift. It was basically the entire story.
Yeah, that was the one guy they actually couldn't focus. Of course, smart of Doublelift to be in his own brush off by himself, but yeah, you engage against a team that's ready to fight a 5v5. Again, Morgana, Sion, you group up for the big CC ultimates. When Coast are very single target focused, they opted into honestly just a bad fight.
And that was the one mistake. Like CLG,
one mistake,
yeah, you give CLG a lot of credit. They were able to capitalize on that one giant botched team fight and take that and execute the rest of the game. And that's what a really strong team good. That's what we expect from high-performing teams.
So game number 4 of Coast winning the game up until they lose. This season, 4 of their 6 losses now, they almost had it. Again. It keeps happening to Coast. They are so close to beating all these great teams, and there's always something that picks them apart. And it's heartbreaking to watch that be their season so far, but they're still in 10th place. They still have so many good-looking games, and every single time it crumbles.
Yeah. They definitely will learn something from this one, though. I'm sure they'll revisit that. Yeah. And next time they're presented with that much information, they'll take their time and actually communicate. You know, maybe somebody target Doublelift, go around from the backside, get a flank on. Perfect opportunity for a flank there.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they can fix that for the next game tomorrow. But right now, we're going to send it down to Riv, who's standing by with CLG's man in the mid lane.
Thank you very much, Freak. I am joined by the man in the mid lane. It is Link. I'm here with him once again. And last time we spoke, you said the game was a little easier. This time it looked pretty difficult, actually. The early part of the game didn't go CLG's way. What was the team's mentality in those first few mishaps?
I think our biggest problem in that game was we didn't force the 2v1 even though we got the wards down. Our plan just basically going into that was, well, we wanted a 2v1 Coast. But they actually did something that, well, we kind of expected them to do, but we responded, I guess, wrongly. And then, well, that's why our early game kind of went weird.
All right, and you have been looking a lot more comfortable in mid lane, obviously, than last year. What's kind of changed? What's the mental dynamic for you now?
I think just having like a team who really wants to win and just like try, like the team atmosphere itself, and we have like a coach that isn't like remote. Just everyone that's trying to really hard on the team, it just makes me want to try even harder. And I think just being on a team like that, well, I think I'm doing pretty good.
All right, and fans obviously thinking you're doing really well, but you have to face off against Bjergsen tomorrow. How are you feeling against that matchup versus Team Solo Mid?
I think right now Bjergsen is probably the best mid laner in NA right now. So I think tomorrow is going to be a huge challenge, but I think it's going to be a really fun match. So I think anyone who's going to be looking forward to that TSM-CLG rivalry, it's going to be really close because not only do we like go 50-50 in like scrims, I think, or TSM is easily like the hardest opponent that we've ever played versus. So it's going to be fun.
All right, Link, thank you very much. I'm actually going to get a quick question in with Skara here before we end the interview. Skara, your team has put a lot of faith in you. A lot of these guys saying, even Link, that they came to you in the beginning when they were getting to go pro. What kind of pressure does that put on you, and how does it make you feel?
It just makes me feel like as the rest of the team improves, I should be improving along with them, right? Like, I'm not the perfect player, I'm not the perfect coach, but as they grow, like, I grow with them, right? And I think that's the big thing to take away.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. We're going to throw guys at the analyst desk to break down more on this game.
Thank you, Riv. I like to hear that, looking at growth as an entire team and organization for CLG. A win for them there, but Coast didn't give it to them easy, and I want to look at Champion Select because I feel that Coast's bans were pretty indicative of their first pick, Kalista.
Yeah, we were going pretty crazy here on the desk. Saw the Vi, Jat's like, that's a good one. And then they banned Lissandra, and I'm like, whoa. Does MASH play Kalista? And then they banned the Ahri, and that was a dead giveaway because that's a Jez's champion. And when you have this type of ban phase going for you, you want to have them last ban the Ahri because the threat of Jez's. But when you don't ban the Kalista, that should tell CLG, since we have seen Doublelift on it, that you want to play that champion. And when you ban the point-and-click CC, that's definitely a giveaway. But CLG had faith in the fact that they, from first round, pick a Nidalee Jarvan. They're like, we will hit our skill shots on her and make her irrelevant.
It was so strange because we have seen, whoops, good thing I have another one. We have seen
backups, so many backups.
So many teams pick Kalista into stuff like Vi, Lissandra, and Ahri and get destroyed. And people are like, that person can't play Kalista. But actually, generally, if you can reach Kalista, you can shut her down. So I was really scared for CLG in the early game for giving up Kalista and actually not banning it because their last ban was Gnar. I thought for sure they just banned Kalista. But CLG has so much faith in their ability to outplay the opponent. They were like, okay, they'll have Kalista. As long as we can get Morgana and we land one bind eventually, we'll kill her.
Well, as you said,
has to be logic.
There was a lot of fear, though, for the fact that they did give up the Kalista. We were going to pull up our first replay, which is the early kills that Coast was able to secure for themselves with some sensational, individual outplay. So we're going to roll this out real quick. I mean, this first one here by Chris, the use of his Q, knowing that it resets on a minion that he does enough damage to in the back is just phenomenal. To avoid the CC there as well on Sion.
And then, whoop. Right back to the other one. I mean, a total outplay. Then Zion and Spartan can't even get the ult. At this point, you're kind of starting to think, yeah, this is a game CLG could lose, especially here when they're able to turn around the binding onto Kalista. Just the presence of mind here for Sheep to say, okay, I'm actually going to fire myself back into this fight.
Right, we got this. Let's go.
It was absolutely beautifully executed there. Taking the lantern, flashing out of the tether range from MASH so he doesn't get stunned, being able to do the Fate's Call and throw him back in after Afro had burned his flash, so they knew there was no escape there. It was really beautifully executed, and you said CLG have faith in their playmaking. I think they might have been a little overconfident there.
And that's why it kind of seemed like they might lose this game from a viewer perspective because they had a composition that required them to outplay the opponent, and they were actually getting outplayed.
Yeah.
In the post-game interview there, Link, we suspected that they actually did want a 2v1. He confirmed it. So that does change your decision-making in-game a little bit. When you're reacting on the fly, you do tend to make a few more mistakes like that, or you're more prone to being outplayed. But then again, CLG still did win.
Right. So I want to figure that out. I want to figure out why that happened, because all signs point to that should have been a Coast victory, coming out with Aurelia ahead of Sion, then, growing his CS lead to 90 CS as well as the kills advantage. Kalista was 3-1 while Doublelift was 0-3 at one point, and yet they didn't come out with victory.
Coast is becoming the poster child for not knowing how to end games. The first 2 weeks, they had gold leads in all of their games. Last week, they fell even farther and didn't get the gold leads, but this is a return to that beginning problem. And Zion can probably go into it a little bit.
Yeah, I also think it's how they allocate their gold too, what they spend it on. Zion Spartan, all armor. He did not have a hint of magic resistance except for his boots. But then you look at things like what Chris was building, what Impaler was building, prioritize magic resist early. Then later on, they were like, let's build some armor. And then by that point, Doublelift had already gotten off the ground by farming. And vision, I think, is actually the biggest thing for me here. I talked about item builds, but vision in your inventories and vision on the map is huge. They are not pushing up and then putting vision down when they get those turrets. They pushed up, they meandered around, and that's why Chris has so much CS. He had like 80 up over Zion. He's pushing top lane, and then he's doing nothing. He's pushing, backing off, because he doesn't have the ward control in that side of the jungle to continue his pursuit of the turret, and then they don't capitalize on it. It's really confusing to watch them play. Coast are good players, but as it stands right now, they're not a good team. And CLG is playing the team game better.
There seems to be a lull when we get to that stage of the game where just as you're talking about, teams are attempting to push lanes, but they don't have the vision control, and it really slows things down. And if you don't have a big enough advantage, it looks, CLG is able to take that opportunity and turn things around.
Yeah, it's happening all over the world in League of Legends right now. Those second-tier turrets are pretty hard to push early on in the game, especially with Dragon not giving you any gold early on. So a lot of times you're kind of gated by the respawn of the Dragon, and you have to play a very clean game in between Dragon respawns, which is what Coast did not do because of poor vision control. And I like to call them garbage kills because they're kills that just happen and no one really earned them, but it's what got CLG back in the game. They killed the split pushing Chris, they caught Mash with the binding, and voila, they get a third Dragon, the gold is even, they can now win.
All right, I do want to jump into our second replay, which is the 35 minutes in around Baron. Because I know, Zyrene, you want to break it down a little bit in terms of positioning and the engagement as a whole. So we're going to pull that up.
Yeah, you're going to see here, it's a great engage here. Like, it's the right decision to take a fight at this point. But what we see is Doublelift. He stands off in the side brush. And we see Sheep walk up. He scouts this. He's right there sitting on top of ward. Boom, gets pulled in. They actually see this coming because Mash is on top of the ward. They know that they're about to get engaged on. But Doublelift just puts pop shots in there, and Chris does not go on him. Chris does not stun him. Chris does not stop this damage output. And that is huge because the output of a Jinx is much higher than a Kalista in a standing still team fight when everybody's on top of each other because of the splash.
That fight happened and it surprised all of us because previously CLG had swept a ward out of that brush. They move away for a second and somehow Coast gets a ward in. So CLG should have been caught completely unawares. And they were, except Doublelift just happened to be in the right brush. And Chris, we've talked about this a little bit. He's either the greatest player, he had a 10-1-10 game on Aurelia when they beat Winter Fox, or he looks bad. And this time, he did both in the same game.
Yeah.
You can't be both, Chris. He destroyed early, and then in that pivotal last endgame team fight that swung the game, everyone's in a clump, and the main damage dealer is over here, and you're a single target damage threat on Aurelia. Hit the dude killing your team. Don't just walk into the ball of death. And
Exactly.
he walked into the ball of death.
So unfortunate for Coast. Things were looking good for them. They still are on that losing streak. CLG, though, holding on to their first place position. Keep it tuned right here, though, and we'll see what the Winter Fox says when we come back and they take on Team Impulse in our second match of the day. Stay with us.
I feel like we need
Dude, I hope they change that picture over there of Reggie with his arm raised to they dye his hair pink in the picture too.
Oh my god. Jumps to a melee. Chris dodges a Zion Spartan. Looking to get slowed. In comes Impaler. The counter kick means first blood. Oh, knock up the flash engage on a Link. He flashes out, takes a black shield. Smithy in the front line forced to flag and drag away, but the flash.
Don't move, don't move, don't move, don't move, don't move, don't move, don't move.
The Coast to make that one happen.
Wow, they jump in on top of a ward.
You guys got this. Sheep, exhausting match.
Close. Chris.
Get bang. In comes Chris, loses half his health before the fight even starts. Jess is trying to make big plays, but gets extremely exploded. CLG remain in first place after a well-controlled siege.